Another edition of Games and Politics. Today, I'm going to be playing Borderlands 2. We're going to be talking a little bit about the election 2014, the midterms. Let me tell you, that was it was a bloodbath. Let's just say that. Bloodbath. Speaking of bloodbath, I'm going to go start a mission here, hunting the Firehawk, here in Borderlands 2. Alright, so I'm playing as Zero. As a ninja, so I'm sort of melee spec'd here, but I also like to do a little sniping. We just catch a ride here, and we're going to talk a little bit about the 2014 election. Now, what happened in the 2014 midterms is that the Republicans had a huge turnout. Huge. I mean, much more so compared to the Democrats, which had a terrible turnout. So the result of all that is that the Republicans have gained the Senate. Now, what does that mean? Well, you turn on cable news, and it's going to be a bunch of pundits saying, liberal pundits saying that it's pretty much the end of the entire fucking world. Now, I'm not quite buying that line, and I think to all those people who are saying it's the end of the world, you guys need to calm down. It's not the end. I'm not going to say that nothing bad is going to happen, because there's going to be more gridlock. That's the whole thing that's going to happen. For Republicans thinking that this is going to change, that now Republicans have a mandate to rule and all of this ridiculous stuff. No, that's also not going to happen. What this does is guarantee a few more years of nothing but gridlock. And so essentially it's pretty much status quo here of what's happened before, pretty much during the entire reign of President Obama. His entire, basically his entire 4 years, or I'm sorry, his entire 6 years of his presidency has been nothing but gridlock, essentially. I mean, there wasn't even that supermajority everybody was flipping out about. That didn't actually happen. So if anybody says that the Democrats didn't do anything because they had a huge majority, it's... Oh, wow, I have all fire-based weapons. Oh, that sucks. Let me just change that here. Oh, I don't have anything. You know what? Here's what I can do. Melee FTW. Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't worry, I can recover on this one. Ah. And, you know, it's sort of the same thing. Like, the Democrats can recover from this loss here. And look, it wasn't all that unexpected. A lot of people came in here with the expectation that the Democrats, I mean, Nate Silver of 538, he was saying, look, you know, the Republicans are going to gain the Senate back. There's not really anything you can do about that at this moment. You know, we're just going to have to take our lumps. It's just the way it goes. The opposing party always gains the House at the second half of, or I should say the second half of the last term. Basically, Obama's got about 2 years left, and that 2 years is going to be full of gridlock. Now, here in Michigan, where I live, we re-elected Rick Snyder. Now, that wasn't exactly, I think, the best idea. I mean, Rick Snyder isn't Rick Scott, which was effing horrible. Because Rick Scott, we know Rick Scott is a criminal. He did his company when he was CEO. They did the biggest Medicare fraud, I think, of the entire program. The biggest Medicare fraud of the entire program, bilking the federal government out of millions and millions of dollars. That's really messed up. And yet, Florida elected him once again. And so, compared to Rick Scott, Rick Snyder isn't as bad, but he's still bad because of the emergency manager law and all, of course, the corporate tax breaks to the rich and to the corporations And, of course, cutting education. A piece of good news is that we didn't elect Terry Lynn Land, which would have been even worse. Because apparently Terry Lynn Land was considered to be the Sarah Palin of Michigan. Which I don't know if I don't really have to tell you how bad that sounds. I'd rather avoid having the Sarah Palin of Michigan. Thank you. So, and thankfully Michigan voters at least agreed on that one, even though they re-elected Rick Snyder. So while it was kind of bad here, it could have been much worse. Oh, that was awesome. Yeah, I really like this gun. And I had a talk earlier on a talk radio show today with Tom, with Flint Sounding Tom here, who does the Some Say My Liberals show. And, you know, he was talking about the liberal malaise that people are going through here over this election. And I don't think that we should be, I don't think we should feel that bad. Because this is sort of what happens in reactionary politics. And this is what happens in politics, period. It doesn't have to be reactionary. Oh, fuck, he resists. Yeah, and this is fire-based, too. Alright. Let's just get this guy first. Oh, shit. Get back here. Yeah, I should have brought a non-fire-based weapon. I should have had a better strategy for these guys. And on the subject of strategy, we should talk about the strategy of the Democrats in this election. Their strategy was to run as far away from Obama and basically being a liberal, as if Obama is actually a liberal, as they could. It's sort of ridiculous. For example, I want to use Allison Lundergan Grimes, who ran away from Obama, wouldn't even say that she voted for Obama, and it wasn't until it was too late where she actually said, "Oh, well, yeah, Obamacare? Love it. Love Obamacare. What are you talking about? Obamacare is fantastic." Too little too late, and she got beat by Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell, somebody who is one of the least liked congressmen in the entire nation. So, and that's pretty bad. Oh yeah, I'm hosed here. And I'm fucked. Once again, strategy matters. Strategy matters a lot. I brought in fire-based weapons into Frostburn Canyon and got my ass handed to me, just like when the Democrats decided that they were not going to run as liberals. They were not going to run on democratic principles. And because of that, they got fucking hosed. And now I need to go and find some new weapons here before I come back. Here I am back in Frostburn Canyon. Now I've got a shotgun. Shotgun's probably going to fare a little bit better than the fire-based weaponry that I was using, especially against the pyros. Once again, strategy. You need to have a smart strategy for taking on your opposition. I don't think I have to say really a whole lot more about that. So with the strategy that I would use as a liberal, as a Democrat, is to stop running away from liberal policies. Stop running away from the president. Yes, he has a low opinion ratings. Why? Because he wasn't doing anything. And now part of the reason he wasn't doing anything is because he was getting hamstrung by the Republican-led House and the Republicans in the Senate that were filibustering him. Now the Republicans they're in the majority now, and so now they're going to have to explain why things aren't getting done. And of course they can blame Obama, and that might get them far. Ouch. I tell you, I'm not great at shotgunning. Oh, but I pulled that one out of my ass. There we go. Hard to play a shooter when you're talking politics. There, right in the face. So they made the mistake of running away from liberal principles when they should have been embracing liberal principles, and that's the problem that we have with Democrats, is that they are weak. They don't know how to defend themselves. All right, let's get away from the shotgun here. They have an advantage in populism. When they do populist things, it works. And they don't, because one of the major problems in politics is the money. Where is the money coming from? It's coming from the business community. That's unfortunately where a lot of politicians, or just about all politicians, get their money. They get it from the business community, and that is why they can't be progressive. So, with all of this, I'm sure some of you are wondering, well, why vote? Well, because it still matters. If there's enough people voting, and I'm sure some people will disagree with me, but if there's enough people voting, that can lessen the impact of money. Because what does money do? Money buys ads. It also buys favors. That gets people disinterested in voting. But if people were to have better candidates to vote for, and were to hold their candidates accountable for the votes that they do have and the ties to business they have, it will lessen their influence. Now, one of the most important things to do is to get the money out of politics, and that's why, but you also need to have an active and engaged electorate. And I think that is one of the things that we're missing today. And the people think people didn't show up to vote, and that's why Republicans won. And people didn't show up to vote because they don't think they have anything worth voting for. But, you know, I know that it's unrealistic to expect everyone to come and vote just because. You have to really give them something to vote for. And that's why I want to talk about some of the ballot measures that were actually on the ballot that won. And that would be the marijuana ones. There's a marijuana one. There's a couple of minimum wage ballot initiatives in a place like Arkansas, for example, that won. Arkansas raised its minimum wage. That's a progressive proposal. And yet, Mark Pryor got defeated by Tom Cotton in Arkansas. And this kind of ties in two of my earlier points, is that Mark Pryor ran as a conservative. One of his ads was ridiculous. It was all about how he loves Jesus. And you're calling yourself a Democrat while saying that I love how much I love Jesus and how big the government is, how I'm going to shrink government if you vote me into office. He ran as a conservative and he got his ass handed to him, while something like minimum wage actually did win. When you run as progressives and run progressive proposals, you do tend to win. It's not always going to work out that way, but I guarantee it's a lot better than running as conservative light. I want to end with my final thoughts on this, on the election. Once again, I have to stress that this isn't the end of the world. There's going to be other elections. We have to regroup. We have to say, and we really have to look into our values and ourselves and say, what are we going to fight for? What do we believe in? How are we going to rally ourselves? And I think it's important to do some introspection, especially as a movement. The progressive movement needs to look at itself and look at its leaders and look at why people are not turning out to elections that are as important as these are. And I think once we do that, and once we find the answers and actually move to correct them, we'll have a much better chance of retaking the Senate, retaking the House, and actually doing progressive things and getting progressive things done.
You're so
I mentioned how much I love fire weapons. For another edition of Games and Politics, this is Jeff. I will see you later, and everybody, keep gaming.